Why do youth gravitate towards people from their own ethnic group, whether it's in our school cafeterias or our faith communities? How do culture, race, and privilege affect our lives and our relationships with others? I'm Emma Chrissinger, a senior at York High School in Elmhurst and a member of First United Church of Oak Park. Joining me today is Donald Rapier, a junior at Lindblom Math and Science Academy in Chicago and a member of Sixth Grace Presbyterian Church. Hiba Rahman, a junior at Oswego East High School and a member of the Downtown Islamic Center, and Goldie Murray, a freshman at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. So how do you guys choose where to sit in the lunchroom? What factors into that?
A lot of it is like who you're friends with, whether it's because you've had a lot of classes with them or because you've just known them for a long time. And the people aren't necessarily like your ethnicity or whatever. It can be like a lot of different religions or races and things like that.
Yeah.
I feel that, in particular for me at least, that in the lunchroom, I think in my freshman year, because I'm a junior now, but my freshman year, I looked at sort of the people, almost I guess who were freshmen. I gravitated towards them because they were in my grade, and I thought, you know, we have something that's something that we have in common, so I can at least talk to them. It was more about that than anything. Somewhere I would go and I would feel more like without getting shut down.
Yeah, and I feel like before you even meet people in your classes and everything, it's easy for people to like gravitate towards their similar ethnic groups or their races. I feel like in my school particularly, it's like predominantly white. So a lot of times the African American kids sit together, or like Indian kids sit together, and it's like I wish there was more diversity, you know, even like in the lunchroom, you know?
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I went to Chicago High School for the Arts, Chi Arts, and so a lot of times I just kind of sat with people that I had in my conservatory, which was visual arts, because, you know, there's theater, dance, music, and visual arts, and so it really wasn't separated by like race or anything. And now that I'm in college, it's kind of more of like a lunchroom, because everybody has, you know, their own schedule. So really it's just, you know, who's around you, and, you know, you're starting to become an adult, and I think it's more along the lines of, you know, who you can see yourself being friends with doesn't really matter, you know, anything about them except their personality, really.
It's like who you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah. Do you think that sexuality and gender identity plays a role in that too? Like you feel more comfortable with people with similar sexuality or gender identity?
I think sometimes that comes into play a lot. I mean, I'm transgendered, so I know that when I meet people, you know, sometimes I feel like I have to explain myself and tell them, you know, my identity and my gender and all that, but then, you know, I realize that really doesn't matter. Just like, you know, you don't go around asking, hey, do you have all the right parts, or are you sure you're black? You know, like, you don't ask people that. You just talk to them for who they are, and you just get to know the person that they are, because the things that our bodies are, it's just a shell. It doesn't matter as much as what's on the inside. So I think definitely, yes, it's so easy to be able to find somebody that you're comfortable with. You find people that you can relate to, but really when it comes to the basics, you just need to learn how to branch out more. You start comfortable and then you keep going from there on out.
Why do you guys think that people might gravitate towards other people with a similar religious or racial or cultural background?
I feel like it's because, like we were talking about, like your freshman year, it's the people that you're comfortable with, and you're comfortable with the people who've gone through the same things and people who like act the same. So it's just, you have more to talk to about them because we've been through some of the same things.
Yeah, I think that's very true, just inside the school setting and also outside of it. I mean, even in Chicago, you see Chicago is very segregated, such a segregated city, a very segregated city, and you see that in terms of just adults who people tend to live or tend to act around people who are like them. Maybe not intentionally, like I don't move to a neighborhood saying, oh, it's predominantly African American, I'm only going to go here because I don't like any other races. I think it's also inherently just someone's feelings. They feel like, oh, I feel more comfortable here, so that's why things happen.
Yeah, I feel like with me, almost my faith and my like religion, I'm Christian, but I think that kind of encourages me to reach out to other people of other religions and other races. I think having a good background in faith kind of helps you reach out to other people?
I feel that my church, Sixth Grace, and the Presbytery of Chicago in general have done a really good job in branching out to other diverse groups and such. Specifically my church, I know we ask people to come from different denominations and different religions, and also we go and visit different places of worship, which is very interesting for me, and I like that aspect of my church, that we get to see other people and see how other people worship, and I think that's a big part. I think like the church, or at least my church in general, does a really good job at that. That's something I really like, that I get to see.
Yeah, the same thing happens at like my mosque. We have a lot of different people from like synagogues and temples and churches come, they visit, and like they learn about us while we're like simultaneously learning about like how their faith is. And then there's other mosques and organizations will go and visit like different churches and mosques and stuff like that to learn and to understand like the differences.
Yeah, my college has so many different ethnicities and cultures and religions. We have so many groups that people join, so many different after school sort of activities that we can partake in, and there's a lot of people in the arts community that are not only a range of different religions, but also a lot of them are, you know, atheist, or they're not sure, they're agnostic, and that kind of has a huge part in like the way that we talk with each other. It gives us more of it pushes us more to try to understand where everyone is coming from. So myself, I'm Christian and Buddhist, so I do my best to like reach out to people and definitely accept them for everything they are, because everybody should, you know, have the right to believe in what they do.
I think it's a good idea to surround yourself with people with different faiths. Like I worked at a bakery earlier this year, and the bakery was halal, which is that's like. Do you want to explain what halal is?
Yeah,
you could probably do it better than me.
It's kind of like the kosher for like Judaism. It's like the kind of meat that we eat and the kind of food that we eat. It's slaughtered in a certain way. And
yeah, and my boss is Muslim, and like she was so nice, and she talked to me all about like Islam, and it was just so nice to have that like open community where she was open to talk to me about it, and I could ask her as many questions as I wanted, and so I learned a lot. And so like that leads us to like the next question, like what else can we do to cultivate more diversity in our schools or in our own faith communities?
I think a good way Goldie was talking about is through the arts in particular. I think by reaching out through people through the arts and other mediums is really interesting, and that the arts are such a diverse way to reach people, and that everybody enjoys doing something artistic. Everyone has an artistic side, I believe, and that's a really good way. For example, I'm on the Steppenwolf Young Adult Council, which is a group at Steppenwolf Theater that's comprised of teens from all over the city of all different ethnicities and backgrounds, and I feel that Steppenwolf has done a really good job in including everybody.
my school has an international fest, so like once a year they have everybody of like different ethnicities and cultures. They have like a table for about 2 hours, and it's you go around and like you go to the different tables. They have like food and dishes, and like they have like different like trinkets and stuff from their culture, and so you learn about it. You learn about there's tons of different Asian, European, even South American different cultures, and then after that segment you go to like our theater, and they have like different cultural performances, and so you learn a lot and you understand it, broadening your horizons to like help with diversity and everything.
Yeah, food's a good way to bring people together.
Yeah.
What do you think? Besides art, what else can help us move forward to create more diversity?
I think the more people socialize even through groups online. I mean, I do this mentoring on FTM websites, which is for female to male transgender people, and I have a lot of really close friends that I just talk to online, and there are just so many different ways to connect.
Do you guys think that we live in like a post-racial society, or are there still issues surrounding that?
I would say definitely there are definitely still issues around. In no way I don't think we live in a post-racial society. That people say that, oh, just because we have an African-American president, we've moved past this issue of race. But I feel that since we're still here talking about race, like right now.
Being a Muslim, you go through like a lot of different discrimination, because just living in a society where segregation is still going on, it leads to discrimination and misunderstandings, which eventually leads to hate crimes and things like that. But you can't really force someone to like you, but you can always try, and trying is part of like the International Fest and things we talked about. And post-racial, not really, because I'm sure you've gone through it being African American, being a Muslim, like in airports, like you think that it's because I wear a headscarf, there's always the extra security and things like that. And you being African American, I'm sure you go through stuff like that too with like the police.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I actually saw a study yesterday. I was reading a study on the Huffington Post that talked about, out of a survey of 5-year-olds, 80% thought that all of our presidents had been white, and that 1/3 of those kids thought it was illegal for an African American to be president. So I was just looking at that, and I was just like, oh wow, they're not 2, they're 5-year-olds, and the fact that they even
kindergarten.
yeah, the fact that they even think that, I was just like, that's very interesting.
Yeah. So I just think it's important to, try to move forward, like keep people aware that there are still issues going on, and try to find the similarities between different religions, different cultures, try to cross those gaps. Thank you, Donald, Hiba, and Goldie, for joining me today and having this awesome dialogue about these issues of justice and race and religion and privilege. I'm Emma Christinger from Different Drummers in the Greater Chicago Broadcast Ministries. Keep the faith.